So here's a look at a project I was doing for a customer. It's not the MP44. There will be a final MP44 video soon. But I did one and it didn't come out good. The lighting was poor. But this used to be mine, this MP40. It's been through several people in the years of its life. But this time, the person that bought it wanted me to weather it for him. So I did. If you look, I used the original black. If you look on this mag, that was like the original black. Well, the mag's been slightly weathered, but not as much. Here at the end, it's got like no weathering. So I'm going to stand here and kind of block that light behind me, and you can see that you know, it's gone to you know, gunmetal silverish. I lightly weather the mag because, you know, stuff wears differently. And it just looks cooler too when stuff is slight contrast. So what I did, I used the stock gun. I mean, it was base. It had a base black paint job on it from the factory. This is the Cybergun Schmeiser, even though these were made by Irma model, which is, it's an AGM. There's just, you know, there's like two companies that make it. There's like a SRC and then, well, the electrical one's SRC and there's a AGM. But what I did, had a basic black paint coat from the factory. I hit all the edges with sandpaper and steel wool and a file to, you know, get off the black. So when I did do the final weathering, the metal would show through. And then I, with the upper receiver and this part, and, you know, the stock here, I spritzed it. Well, it was more like a light coat of the Tamiya gunmetal. If you saw my MP44 video, the MP44 was painted gunmetal from Tamiya, and it was just very shiny and silvery, which I didn't want to do with this. So just a light dusting from like 18 inches away, so like twice as far as you normally spray paint something with a rattle can. So there was that, and then I sprayed light gunmetal on, like even a lighter coat, just to kind of give it some highlights. And just kind of spritzed it like your hairstylist would say, because I don't think a barber would say that. Barber never says spritzed. So did that. Then I gave it a wash of black acrylic, 50-50 mix, to kind of give it some definition on the line, so they kind of stand out better. So those stand out nice and good. The you know, the shadow and detail that it adds there, and it sort of gives it a sort of a pitted finish. This had a smooth finish, and, you know, by giving it sort of light spray coats, it kind of gives it a slight texture, but not like something overly huge, like a hammered iron paint, you know. So I did that, and then I gave it a wash of Tester's Rust, mixed 50-50 with water. I used the acrylic rust, the acryl. So I did that, you know, bled to the areas and wiped that off. It came out looking pretty good. I'm pleased with this one. Some of the areas, like the barrels tend to hold up pretty well over time. Because basically, I mean, the gun new wouldn't have looked like this, obviously. You know, it probably looked like this after, you know, many years in the field, but like 70 years on, it looks like this, and that's the look he wanted me to go for. Was old, as opposed to like you know, just out on the field. Because there'd be pretty much almost nowhere. It would just be a different color, it wouldn't be black. But the barrel is it's only given a light sanding, just to kind of take off the noticeable swirls that were on it, and then I give a little bit of light rust around where where the sheet metal parts would be. Well, that's not sheet metal, that's, you know, metal, you know, cast. You know, just because it's not going to rust. When the barrels get blued, they're really, really durable. And the same goes with the lower receiver. I kept the lower receiver like on my MP44. I kept it mainly black with a slight rust wash. I didn't wear the crap on it. I kind of worn out on the trigger guard because, you know, well, fingers are there, so they're going to wear that more. But you know, I did that. I wore down these. Any button or release was worn down. You know, The bolt, or fake bolt, whatever, you know, I just painted that straight like gunmetal, because that wouldn't, you know, a soldier would keep that nice and clean and oiled, you know, for reliability. You can see the gearbox there, but, you know, so that's that. You know, nice sanding. Came out pretty good. I like how this one turned out. You see, it looks pitted and, you know, got some definition. This actually, that needs to get touched up. Looks like some of the wash dried there. Wasn't diligent enough in wiping it off. When you do a wash, usually you wipe it off like a minute or two after. So, a couple issues with these guns that are worth mentioning. A lot of the parts are cheap pot metal because the guns are inexpensive themselves. Like this sight is broken. I did find the piece, but I don't know about gluing it back on. It's probably not going to stay because it's pot metal. This charging handle was almost pulled through. The fake bolt was just like a sheet metal fake bolt, and the screws had pulled through, so I had to put washers and kind of hammer it flat to make that seat straight again, because it was bent off and fallen off. The stocks like to break on these. This one only has one original pin right there. I couldn't get it out. Usually these pins fall out at the drop of a hat. So what I did is I put in screws and super glued the screws in, and then ground off the head of the screw. So the screw is like a pin, and there's super glue around, you know, inside. Gorilla Glue is just not, I mean, it's great, but for something that is like a tight fit like that, it's just going to ooze everywhere, and you're going to have a bad time. So, same thing here. So we got you can see right there, sort of where it was done. Also, they tend to lose these screws here, so these screws, I had to find a new one because it had fallen off. So I had to find a new screw. I couldn't find the new little spring-loaded pin, so it's only got one spring-loaded pin, but it still holds it just fine. But those are hard to find. It's hard to find the stocks for these guns. They go for as much as like a gun does used, so you know, if you're looking, that's just buy another gun used for parts. The gearbox in these is weird. It looks sort of like an M14 gearbox, but is a little different. So I actually got a hole in the front. And there's a selector, because basically, you know, you can pull the trigger anytime. It's got no mechanical safety. It has a power switch, and the battery, you know, goes up here. I'm not going to take this apart because, well, I only got one hand, because the other one's holding the camera. It's kind of fiddly. You pull out this little guy right here, and you pull the front off, and you can fit a 8.4 brick. The guy's using this has a 7.4 brick that's the size of an 8.4 brick, so he uses that. Let's see that. Oh yeah, selector. Right here, the railgun was full auto only, so it didn't have this. They put that on there. So there's a selector plate in here that goes from full auto and semi. The one on this is broken, and I can't find one. So what I'm going to do is kind of glue the old one back together, then make a mold out of it, and cast another one, and put it in there, because it's just sort of, you know, what can I do? I can't find the part online. I don't want to buy a parts gun, you know, for just the selector switch. Right now it's stuck on semi, which is okay, because he you know, he plays indoors with us, so it's sort of semi only anyway. But I need to fix that switch. Super gluing it's not going to make it strong, but super gluing the piece and molding a new one out of maybe white metal, or white metal probably wouldn't hold up. You'd probably have to do it out of some sort of high strength resin to hold up, because, you know, pretty much I put it on and slid this on and it just went crack. It's like, what the hell? Yeah, that's another issue with these. I didn't do anything to the gearbox. He didn't ask, so I didn't, you know. These come with like it was like plastic, you know, bushings, and, you know, sort of a plain motor, short type motor. So nothing really special inside. Hop-up looks like an AK hop-up, but it's a little different. So I don't know exactly what they did there with those hop-ups, but it looks enough like an AK. that you could probably make an AK hop-up work with some cutting. Barrel's short. That might be, that's probably like a 200 millimeter, 210 maybe. Yeah, it's probably like 200 millimeter barrel. But yeah, this is it's not an update because it's pretty much only going to get shown once, of MP40 that I weathered for a customer. So, hope you like it. If you have any comments, you know, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Oh yeah, I gave this a coat of, I might have mentioned it, but a Krylon matte is what I use to clear coat guns. The hobby clear coats, just they're not durable like the Krylon coats are. And I'm assuming the Rust-Oleum clear coats are durable as well. But I like the matte because it gives it a decent sheen. It cuts down the sheen from, you know, gloss, but it's not flat, so it looks more like a gun. And I did apply that over the whole thing, you know, so it dulled this down. You know, the Bakelite on the real gun, this is Bakelite to, you know, I don't know if that would get hot. You know, it's not going to get hot there because it would get hot up here. That's where all the action is. But, you know, real gun, this is Bakelite, so it looked decent already because it was plastic, with, you know, faux finish on it. So I just toned it down a little bit, black wash. But yeah, that's it. So stay tuned. There will be a MP44 update tonight.